there is a goal that Spain has never stopped celebrating. July 11th, 2010. The Soccer City Stadium in Johannesburg, South Africa. The 116th minute of the World Cup final. Extra time. Netherlands and Spain have been locked at 0-0 for nearly 2 hours of football that has been more violent than beautiful. The Dutch committing 14 fouls in the first half alone, Howard Webb showing a record number of yellow cards. And then, Cesc Fabregas, who has been on the pitch for less than an hour, slides a ball through the Dutch defensive line. Andres Iniesta controls it on the edge of the area. He shoots with his right foot. The ball finds the far corner. Iniesta pulls off his jersey to reveal a message for his late friend Danny Jarque, who had died of a heart attack the previous year at 36. He holds it up to the sky. Spain are world champions for the first time in their history. 1 million Spaniards in Madrid's Cibeles fountain. A country that had spent decades producing gifted players without producing results had finally, definitively, won the thing that had always escaped them. The trophy went home to a country that had waited forever. But very few people today know the full story of what happened to those players after the trophy was lifted, who built coaching careers as remarkable as their playing ones, who suffered heart attacks in their 30s, and who retired from football to sell swimming pools. Century? No, wait, that was a different squad. This is the story of Spain 2010, the greatest midfield ever assembled, and this is the answer to the question worth asking. Is anyone still alive? To understand Spain 2010, you first have to understand what Spanish football was before 2008. It was a paradox. Spain produced consistently the best club football in the world. Real Madrid and Barcelona between them had accumulated more Champions League titles than any other two clubs in the competition's history. The Spanish league was, by any measure, one of the 2 or 3 finest in Europe. And yet the national team, despite its considerable talent, had spent decades failing at major tournaments in ways that seemed to defy rational explanation. Spain were the eternal nearly men of international football. The squad that everyone picked to go far, and that always, somehow, didn't. That changed in Austria and Switzerland in the summer of 2008. Spain won the European Championship with a brand of football so dominant and so beautiful that it generated a new vocabulary: tiki-taka. Short passes, constant movement, total possession. A way of playing that prioritized control so completely that opponents were reduced to watching from a distance, unable to get close to the ball. Spain won the Euro with Iniesta, Xavi, and David Villa, under a coach named Luis Aragonés, who had believed in them when few others did. 2 years later, Vicente del Bosque took that same generation to South Africa. What he had available was extraordinary. In goal, Iker Casillas, the captain, the most decorated Spanish goalkeeper in history, 167 international caps, a man they called San Iker for the miraculous quality of his shot stopping. In defense, Carlos Puyol, raw bravery and aerial dominance, a center-back who played every match as though his life depended on it. Beside him, Gerard Piqué, 23 years old and already one of the most composed defenders in the world. Sergio Ramos, 24, combining defensive quality with a goal-scoring instinct that made him unique among center-backs. And in midfield, the greatest group of midfielders ever assembled under one national flag: Xavi Hernandez, the metronome; Andres Iniesta, the magician; Sergio Busquets, the anchor; Xabi Alonso, the quarterback; Cesc Fabregas, the option off the bench who could change any match. No national team in the history of the sport had ever had 4 or 5 midfielders of this caliber simultaneously available for selection. Up front, David Villa, Spain's all-time top scorer, a forward of ruthless precision, who had just completed a season at Valencia that had confirmed him as one of the finest strikers in the world. The whole of Spain held its breath. Spain's opening match was against Switzerland in Durban. They lost 1-0. The most sophisticated passing machine in international football lost to Switzerland. The Spanish press reacted with the controlled panic of people who had been expecting this disappointment and had arrived prepared for it. But the most dramatic chapter was still ahead. Spain won their next 2 group matches and qualified for the knockout rounds. Against Portugal in the round of 16, Villa scored the only goal. Against Paraguay in the quarterfinal, Villa scored again, a goal in the 82nd minute that settled a match of considerable difficulty after Casillas had saved a penalty in each half. Against Germany in the semi-final, Puyol, the center-back, rose to meet in Xavi corner and headed the ball into the net with a ferocity that sent 60,000 people into ecstasy. The header that sent Spain to the final. The final against the Netherlands was not the football festival that 2 technically gifted sides might have produced. The Dutch had decided, with some tactical logic, that they could not beat Spain at Spain's own game. They chose aggression instead. Nigel de Jong's flying kung fu kick into Xabi Alonso's chest somehow resulted only in a yellow card. The match was brutal, and still goalless after 90 minutes. In the 116th minute, Fabregas played Iniesta through. The ball went in. The jersey came off. The message went up. The whistle blew. Spain were world champions. What happened to the team's captain in the years that followed surprised everyone who assumed Iker Casillas had a smooth road ahead. Casillas had been one of the defining presences of that tournament. 5 clean sheets in 7 matches. A crucial one-on-one save against Arjen Robben in the final that preserved the 0-0 scoreline. He returned to Real Madrid as the most celebrated goalkeeper in Spanish football history and one of the most respected in the world. And then, in a manner he could not have anticipated, his position at Madrid slowly eroded. A public relationship with television journalist Sarah Carbonero, who was broadcasting at the 2010 final when Spain won, and whose presence at pitchside had been photographed across the world, brought a level of media scrutiny that may have contributed to tensions at the club. Performances fluctuated. By 2015, after 16 years, he left Real Madrid for Porto. In April 2019, during a training session at Porto, Casillas suffered a heart attack. He was 37 years old. He survived. He spent days in hospital. When he emerged, he was philosophical and warm about the experience. He is, by all accounts, a man of genuine emotional intelligence. He did not return to playing. He retired in 2020. He has been involved in football administration and ambassadorial roles since. He returned to Real Madrid at the end of 2020, joining the club's foundation as an assistant to the general director. He is in his mid-40s. He is still here. And that, after a heart attack on a training pitch at 37, is the only result that truly matters. Few people knew what the squad's creative heart was going through in the years after the tournament. Andres Iniesta had won everything by 2010. European Championships in 2008, World Cup in 2010, European Championship again in 2012. Champions League titles with Barcelona. La Liga titles. Every award the game had available. And then, quietly, the peak passed. Not catastrophically. Iniesta never had a catastrophic decline, because his intelligence and technique were not the kinds of qualities that age rapidly takes away. But the world moved, as worlds do, and by 2018 he was no longer the player he had been. He left Barcelona in 2018 and signed for Vissel Kobe in Japan, a decision that surprised many until people understood that it was exactly what Iniesta needed, away from the pressure, in a culture that treated him with reverence rather than expectation. He played for Vissel Kobe for 5 seasons, until 2023 when he moved briefly to the UAE before retiring in 2024 at the age of 40. He announced his retirement at the age of 40, having played professionally on 3 continents. He runs a winery in his home region of Castilla-La Mancha, Bodegas Iniesta, which he has developed with considerable care and commercial success. He runs a football academy. He has a footwear brand. He is in his early 40s. He is still here. Xavi went to Qatar. He managed Al Sadd and then, in 2021, returned to Barcelona as head coach during one of the most financially troubled periods in the club's history. He won La Liga in his second season. He was then asked to stay despite wanting to leave, stayed, underperformed by his own standards, and was eventually dismissed in 2024. He is in his mid-40s. He is not currently managing. Spanish football is waiting. Xabi Alonso is managing Bayer Leverkusen, where he led the club to their first Bundesliga title in 2024, a season in which they went unbeaten across the entire league campaign, a historic achievement. He is one of the most respected young managers in European football. He is in his early 40s. He is here, and he is thriving in a way that places him among the genuine candidates to manage the very biggest clubs in the sport. David Villa retired in 2020 after a final season in Japan. He became the owner of Queensborough FC in New York, a club that competes in the USL Championship. He runs football academies across the United States, Spain, and Japan through his DV7 group. He is in his early 40s. He is still here. 15 years after Johannesburg, the men who lifted that trophy for the first time in Spanish football history have scattered across football in ways that reflect the full range of what a career in the sport can become. Casillas serves his former club as a director. He is in his mid-40s, still connected to Real Madrid and still the most recognizable Spanish goalkeeper in history. Iniesta is retired, making wine in Castilla-La Mancha, running academies and existing in Japan, in Spain, wherever football fans gather, as one of the most universally beloved figures the sport has ever produced. Xavi is not managing and has not managed since his dismissal from Barcelona. Spanish football is still deciding what his legacy as a coach amounts to relative to what his legacy as a player permanently secured. Xabi Alonso is one of the most exciting coaching talents in European football. His Leverkusen side's unbeaten Bundesliga season of 2024 placed him in conversations about the very best managers alive. He is in his early 40s. David Villa is in New York, building a club from scratch, developing the next generation of players in a country that is hosting the next World Cup. Sergio Ramos retired from PSG in 2023 and returned to Sevilla before retiring from football entirely. He is in his late 30s. Gerard Piqué retired from football in 2022, a dramatic, emotional press conference at the Camp Nou, and immediately threw himself into business and sports administration, becoming the driving force behind the Kings League, an entertainment-focused football format that has been remarkably successful across multiple countries. He is in his early 30s. He is very much still here. Sergio Busquets retired from Barcelona in 2023 and had a final season at Inter Miami alongside Lionel Messi before stepping away from the game. He is in his mid-30s. Carles Puyol retired from playing in 2014 due to persistent knee injuries and has been involved in football business and ambassadorial roles. He is in his mid-40s. Cesc Fabregas, who played the pass that set up the winning goal in the final, is the manager of Como in Serie A, the Italian club owned by Indonesian investors, which he has taken from Serie B to the top flight and is building toward European ambition. He is in his mid-30s. No member of the 2010 Spanish World Cup squad has died. They are all here. The tournament may have ended, but their legacy still lives in football history. Spain 2010 changed how football is played and how football is taught. The tiki-taka philosophy, total possession, constant movement, short passing, pressing, became the dominant tactical template of the decade that followed. Clubs across Europe sent scouts and coaching staff to Barcelona and to the Spanish national team's training camps to understand how it worked. A generation of young coaches grew up trying to replicate what Xavi and Iniesta did without fully understanding that what they did required players of a quality that cannot simply be taught. Spain won the European Championship in 2008, the World Cup in 2010, and the European Championship again in 2012. Three consecutive major titles with essentially the same group of players, a period of international dominance that has not been matched by any other nation in the modern era of football. The men who built that dominance have gone in different directions. Xabi Alonso is building something at Leverkusen. Fabregas is building something at Como. Villa is building something in New York. Piqué built the Kings League. Iniesta built a winery. Casillas survived a heart attack and joined a foundation. The trophy they lifted in Johannesburg on July 11, 2010 still sits in the Spanish Football Federation's cabinet. No Spanish team has come close to winning another World Cup since. The 2014 tournament in Brazil produced a humiliating early exit. Defending champions eliminated in the group stage, beaten 5-1 by the Netherlands. The generation that had won everything was over, and what came after it could not immediately fill the space. But that summer in South Africa, with Iniesta's goal and Casillas' saves, and Xavi's passing and Puyol's header, gave Spain something no previous generation had given it: the certainty of having been, at one specific moment in time, the best team in the world. For one unforgettable summer in South Africa, Spain showed the world that football could be played as an art form, and for a few years after, the whole world tried to copy them.